Hi, I'm Edward Funk, and this is podcast number 33. Now, I actually found myself in the company of real royalty. The occasion, residence of Princess Shama Pahlavi. She was the older sister of the late Shah of Iran. Uh, and she was throwing a party in celebration of the Shah's birthday, which I found a little odd, and that he'd been dead for a while. Anyway, the princess she had a huge home in Beverly Hills. The outside was white stucco with lots of glass. And on the inside, the walls were white, but the furniture had very strong colors, a lot of reds and a lot of purples. Now, upon entering, Princess Shama appeared to be propped by some unseen object underneath her gown, and she greeted guests in a kind of a ghost-like fashion. She didn't move. Nothing in her face moved. It was so tight, I don't think anything could except her eyes. Now, I had been observing others as she greeted them, and they were doing the one cheek kiss, the other cheek kiss, kiss, kiss. Um, so when it was my turn, I kissed the one cheek, and immediately I knew something was wrong. Princess Shama's face became even more frozen, including her eyes. Apparently, one did not allow one's lips to actually touch the royal cheek. Nothing was said, and I maintained an appropriate distance for the kiss on the other cheek. Now, as was the case at many parties where I escorted Loretta, she was off on her own, and I was left to find other people to converse with. There was a smallish man standing by himself, so I approached him. He turned out to be Hermes Pond, a famous choreographer from many movies, including Fred Astaire movies. I really didn't know where to take the conversation, and he gave me a look that said, "What's this guy talking about?" I wished I had asked him, "What does a choreographer for Fred Astaire do?" Because I always was under the understanding that Astaire choreographed all of his own movements. But I didn't think of that, and our conversation proved. Now, the reason I'm remembering Hermes Pond was that within a week of the party, I read in the Los Angeles Times that he had died. Now, if you want to see what he looked like, he made a brief cameo appearance in the movie Kiss Me, Kate. He's wearing a sailor uniform. Now, Loretta was seated at one table and I at another, and this arrangement I was getting pretty used to. Usually, she was in more august company. I found my place card and sat down. Of course, I didn't know anybody, and the other guests at the table were engaged with each other. So I was looking forward to whoever would appear at the empty chair to my left. A moment or two, an older, um, well-dressed woman materialized, and I stood to get her chair. As she seated, she said to me, "Hello, I'm Princess Fazia of Egypt." And what was I to say? Hello, I'm Edward of Echelon, Indiana. I simply introduced myself and asked if King Farouk had been her brother. She answered yes. So right away, I knew more about their family than I'm sure she realized. Loretta had a beautiful emerald necklace with matching earrings that had belonged to King Farouk's mother that were sold when cash ran short. She spoke of a son, Hussein, who was living in Paris and recently had experienced some rough times. was on the rebound. Her sharing something so intimate really made me like her. Now, it wasn't until years later when I realized that not only had she been an Egyptian princess, but she'd also been the first wife of the Shah of Iran. Now, there was a retired diplomat at our table, and when he realized that I was working on a book with Loretta Young, he told me that she had been very popular in the Middle East countries. He said this was because, unlike many American film stars, film actresses, Loretta conveyed a graciousness that was more in sync with their sensibilities. Now, I'm switching to another evening. This issue of graciousness came up. It was an evening I spent with Loretta and her older sisters, Pollyanna and Sally, watching an Academy Award presentation on TV. Keep in mind that all three of these women have been leading ladies, although Pollyanna and Sally appeared in B pictures and even lesser grade movies made on Poverty Row, which referred to studios operating on the barest of shoestring budgets. Anyway, as we were watching the actresses walk the red carpet, they observed that the women didn't know how to move in their gowns. Rhetorically, Loretta asked, who would have taught them? Then they discussed how the studios of their day paid attention to such matters. Now, Loretta was a voting member of the Academy. As an actress, she could vote on all acting awards as well as Best Picture. Early in our acquaintance, I accompanied her to see the movie My Left Foot at one of the theaters at the Century City Mall. We were coming down an escalator from the garage, and someone standing in line looked up and spotted Loretta. Within seconds, everyone turned, and as we got off the elevator, a pathway opened straight to the ticket window, much like the parting of the Red Sea. We then picked up complimentary tickets available to voting members. Now, I don't know if the people who cleared the way for Loretta, if they really recognized Loretta, or if they just knew she was someone who had been someone. Loretta had a way of making an entrance when the mood struck her. The following year, we went to see Kevin Costner in Dancing with Wolves. On the way home, Loretta said, I don't need to see the other nominated films or actors. I'm voting everything with Dancing with the Wolves, and she did. So ever since then, I've looked at the Academy Awards with a jaundiced eye. On another occasion, we were in her living room watching a documentary about the Academy Awards hosted by Patrick Stewart. There was a clip in which Louise Tracy accepted an award for her husband, Spencer Tracy. By the time we were watching this, I knew the story of Loretta and Spencer. He was married but separated when they met on the set of Man's Castle in 1933. Loretta fell madly in love with him, and they had a relationship a little over a year. Eventually, Loretta broke it off. They were both Catholic and could never marry because he was already married in the Catholic Church. Now, Clark Gable would be the rebound a year later. Now I'm going to have podcasts in much more detail about Spencer Tracy and Clark Gable when I'm discussing my book, Behind the Door, the real story of Loretta Young. But for now, I'll continue with material from my book, Loretta and Me, which discusses my own firsthand account of what it was like to walk into Loretta Young's life. So thank you.